Hey, everyone. Hoping everyone is good. Hoping everyone is great. Listen, it was feeling like fall today down here in Georgia. And I certainly appreciated it. I do not like being hot. I don't like being cold. But I think if I had to choose a temperature, I don't know. I think I would choose cold over hot. When I am hot, I am extremely uncomfortable. I'm not the nicest person either. When you're hot, it makes you have a whole attitude. No one can ask you a question when you're hot because you are liable to just snap on folks. I hate being hot. I love fall. I love the colors of fall. I love the hues of fall. I love fall clothing. Oh, I love the smells of fall. I love fall. The beautiful colors, it's everything, the vibrancy. And it's Virgo season. Y'all already know what's up. So I'm a Virgo, I'm an earth baby, and I love my fall. Listen, we're going to bridge into today's podcast episode, and I want to ask you a question. This for you. Are you a people pleaser? Tell me why it is so difficult for us to say no to people. Why is it that we overcommit our time to people and activities? Why do we avoid conflict? Where does that come from? Why are we always trying to be in the middle of things or not in it at all? Why is it that we seek validation or neglect our personal needs? Why do we feel like we have to have responsibility for others? Why do we fear rejection? Why do we have low self-esteem? Why is it that people pleasers seem to be inauthentic? And why is it also that people pleasing causes exhaustion and resentment? One of the key takeaways, giveaways, red flags, signs of a people pleaser is a person's inability to say no. They often struggle with even forming the word no and just being available to people that they really don't want to be available to. Your boss asks you to stay over for work. You really don't want to. You don't even feel like it. It's not that you have anything to do, but you say yeah anyway. Your homegirl or your homeboy wants you to ride somewhere with them, and you ain't feeling it. You want to go home, you want to rest, but instead you say yeah. Your friends want to do dinner Friday, 7:30, but the way your money looking, it's looking real funny. And instead of you being honest about not being able to afford it, you go along with it. You don't like how that person talked to you, but instead of addressing it, you just didn't even say a word. You acted as if it didn't happen. People pleasing is appeasing others, putting yourself aside in order to make them happy. People pleasing is a pattern, something that you pick up in your childhood. Also under people pleasing is just overcommitting. Overcommitting your time, overcommitting your services. Listen, you got to tell people no when it comes to your time. For many women, it is, hey girl, can you do my hair? You know that braid style gonna take you about 6.5 hours and you just really don't feel like it, but she your girl, so you gonna hook her up. One of the other indicators of a people pleaser is someone who seeks validation from other people, always being the yes man and expecting that someone will always pat them on the back or see how nice and loving and giving that they are, only to find that there is no congratulations or no reciprocal feeling of the sorts. It is that you are continuously giving more of your time and effort in order to appease a part of you that has a deficit. An example would be for self-validation, always being there for the people who need you and expecting that they'll always remember you as the good friend, but realizing that they put other people before you and that when you look at the scheme of things, they're really using you because you are always available and you always say yes. Meanwhile, people say no and they're still the best of friends. Seeking validation is also wanting to be a part of the crowd. So doing anything possible to be seen as whatever you perceive them to be makes you feel grounded or included, makes you feel that you're part of the in crowd. And it's so interesting that when you hear it said out loud, it seems so superficial, so elementary, so even high school. But there are many adults who click up with people in order to fulfill this part of them that they feel that they're missing out on, that they like the standard of people in which they view. And so to be a part of that crowd and be validated, they'll go to any lengths in order to be received, to feel happy with, inside temporarily, but to do nothing for them permanently. A people pleaser always neglects their needs. Putting people up front is a very, very sticky situation. When will you ever have time for you if you're always being available for them? Why is it that you can't be honest about the way that they make you feel and speak up for yourself? Why is it that you keep allowing people to treat you any type of way that they feel reasonable? Why is it that it takes you so long to speak up? And by the time that you're absolutely tired, you have exploded, and now you seem to be the crazy person. How many times have you been in a relationship with someone, and it seems that all they do is pull from you emotionally? Everything seems to be about them. All of their situations supersede your own. Even when you don't want to sit in the space or have the capacity to receive what it is that they're pounding you with, you allow them to speak openly, candidly about their issues and their problems. You understand that the way in which they are may be a little arid. You acknowledge this for yourself, but you never speak up because the fear of that person not liking you again, it haunts you, it debilitates you. Therefore, you are quiet. But what about the moments where you want to have a conversation, where you want to talk about how your day was going or how unwell you felt inside? What about when you had a plan to do something and you just needed them to be a partner and find you there, but their unavailability to always pour onto you has made you drown? Therefore, you just sit there, float away, and don't say a word. Now, because you are neglecting your needs and not allowing yourself to talk, having to have space to figure it out with yourself, you feel lonely, often feeling depressed, isolating yourself, and feeling overwhelmed. And that's the trade-off, when you put other people before you and you don't allow yourself to speak and be open about what it is that you feel. That also coincides with the lack of boundaries, not assessing, not saying, not speaking of what it really is that you need. People have a manipulative way of moving. Sometimes it's purposeful, they do it on purpose, and other times they've done it so long with you that it's what they're used to. But people know what they're doing at the end of the day. They know how to maneuver with people who are often people pleasers. They know that they'll never say no, and that at any time, if they're in a bind, they can call them and rely on them. The bad thing about being a people pleaser is that many times there is no reciprocation. You are the fill-in, you are the person that they needed, and they don't look at you the way that you look at them. You fight with yourself, you toil. You have moments where you rehearse and practice what it is that you'll say to people so that you won't feel the way that you do. But the moment that the situation arises, you don't have the words to say. You get stuck. You fumble. You just agree even when your mind says no. And why is it that people who are people pleasers often feel responsible for other people's feelings? They often feel it's their duty to keep everyone around them happy, and they blame themselves if others are upset. Why is it your responsibility to make someone happy? Happiness is something that we should have within ourselves. I think many times also in friendships and relationships, when people have a deficit in their lives, they rely heavily on you. And so because you took the responsibility to be the feeling and behavior bearer, you do everything possible to ensure that this person is fully happy. But see, the thing about happiness is you guys know that that is a temporary thing. And you keep pouring and keep doing and keep having acts of service until you are indeed exasperated from all of the feelings, all of the things, all of the things that they desire and say that they need to make them happy. It is a revolving door. If a person cannot be happy for themselves, if they cannot make themselves happy, you cannot do it for them. But why is that your responsibility? Where did that come from? Is that a deep-seated, deep-rooted thing? Is that a trauma that you had? Did you feel that in the moment and decided that you would never negate or neglect a person again? I want to remind you that it is not your responsibility to make someone else happy. They have to serve themselves first, then on to you. I think it's interesting what we do in the dynamic of friendships and relationships, even, work relationships where we dishonor ourselves and we just do things because we don't want to be rejected. We don't want to be the oddball. We don't want to be the one on the side, the black sheep. We don't want all eyes on us. So we go with the majority, even if we feel like the minority, even if we are doing a disservice to our time, ourselves, our livelihood, even the wages that we make. Y'all on a datey date, everything is all good. Chemistry is there. Feelings are mutual. And someone wants to make a move before you are ready to make a move. You like what they bring to the table. Conversation was great, but you just have this boundary that you want to get to know a person more before you engage into a deeper connection. Or it is that your boundary is that you are waiting on the, right time after marriage to be intimate with someone. But because of this fear of rejection, you go back and forth and go under the boundary that you made for yourself. And you'll move forward because you want ultimately this person to be connected to you and like you even more. You spare your feelings. You spare your behaviors. You spare all parts of you when you agree to do something that you don't want to do in the first place. And it all is tied to rejection. And it is a deep-seated childhood trauma for many people who are always saying yes when they really mean no. And on the serious side of this, saying yes to so many things when it's tied into fear of rejection, I think of so many women who have proceeded in situations with men to only be harmed, hurt, or killed. I think of so many situations where men are involved with women only to be hurt, robbed, and killed. There is something about being sure as to what you value and what your morals are that keeps you aligned into your no's, that nothing anybody can say or do will make you feel that you'll do otherwise. And rejection is not the first thing that you think of when you make a decision that is best for you. Now, this is not hard to believe that most people pleasers have self-esteem issues, that in order to be fulfilled, they will do anything that anybody wants them to do. That something about being accepted and needed or loved or asked up makes them feel that a person truly cares about them, their well-being, and that they are accepted. People pleasers often believe that their value comes from being useful and agreeable to others. So anything goes in their world as long as you see the value in me, that I'm always the one who shows up when you are in need. We got a party going on. I need you to help me decorate. I'm there, even though you don't want to be there. Your friend always gets into a money tight, and instead of calling all the other friends, they always call you because you are the yes man. And really, that self-esteem, man, it's connected to so many of the other things that we talked about. It's like layer upon layer, and you got to work your way through all of them in order to undo the people pleasing that you are so used to. Many people who are people pleasers are also inauthentic. They are not themselves. They are carbon copies of people that they like, people that they want to emulate, people that they look up to. They don't have an identity. They don't know who they are. They'd rather live the life of someone else than being themselves because they don't feel that themselves is enough. They also will be inauthentic in situations where they often hide their true thoughts or their feelings or desires to be accepted by others. It goes back to in conversations when you really want to say what it is that you want to say, but that fear, it keeps holding you back. Or that if you don't believe in a certain political view, you'll go along and ride the wave with everybody else because you don't want to be the odd one out and you don't want to cause controversy. That if there is a standard in something that you believe and everybody else believes in the opposite, that you are not strong enough to stand firm on what it is that you believe. So you go with the majority. Every single time you are being inauthentic to yourself to sit at the table with people who don't mesh with you. And then many times in your mind, as you are thinking of these said scenarios, you know how many times you have dishonored yourself in order just to be included in a group of people or someone just because you need it as your source of confidence. Why is it that you can't tell that woman or that man that something that they are doing is irking and bothering you? It's a red flag for you because maybe it's a trigger, or maybe it's just something that you realize they need help in. And not speaking on it means that you'll continuously go through the same thing with this person and you eventually be unhappy because you didn't address it. And they're still doing the same thing, but that's not really their fault because you didn't tell them what it was that you didn't like. You are being inauthentic to yourself. How many times have you found yourself in a situation where you don't want to be in the middle? That instead of having to pick a side, baby, you just will side your way out. You will avoid conflict like it ain't nobody's business. I remember being that person avoiding conflict. Baby, can I be the peacemaker? Because I don't want to choose sides. Because I love you as my sis and I love you as well. But also knowing that somebody is wrong and I don't want to pick a side because I don't want nobody to be mad at me because the expectation was that because we were all friends, I couldn't tell you where you was wrong at. How many of y'all had that situation where you just want to be in the middle or you just excuse yourself from the situation? Go to great lengths to avoid disagreements or confrontations, often agreeing with others just to keep the peace. But isn't that inauthentic? Isn't that not really who you are? Aren't you shape-shifting for other people in order for them to be happy with you? You know, this is the question that I want you to think about. You know, we've all had this happen. We self-reflect on a situation that happened earlier that day where we dishonored ourselves. We ain't stand up for ourselves. And we have this speech in our heads with how we're going to make it better or why it is that we can't fully function in being strong, bold, and being assertive in how we feel. Why is it that it hurts us so bad when we are fully capable of making concrete decisions? We are adults here. Come on now. Have you ever exercised why it is that you have become this people pleaser? And have you ever looked at and assessed how exhausted you become when you are constantly telling people yes and allowing them to do things in your life? You have this constant flow of resentment that comes through you as well, because trying to please everyone leads to emotional and physical exhaustion. And this is resentment over time. And it has happened with many people who are people pleasers. By the time that they are completely done with someone, they hadn't communicated with that someone. And then they find themselves being away from that person. They don't know how to face them. So they'll just stop calling. They'll stop responding. They won't be open. And if you never address it with the person you have concerns with, their perception is that you flaked on them, you left them. Many people have an idea, but they want to hear it from your mouth. And so then you become the enemy because you silently left out of that relationship or that friendship. You left someone with no answers. So to sum this up, for those of you who are people pleasers or know someone who is a people pleaser, the biggest thing that you are dealing with is your lack of boundaries. The second thing that you are dealing with is self-esteem issues. And the third thing that you're dealing with is seeking validation. At some point, you have to say that this no longer works for me, that I am constantly being outside of myself and I don't agree with what people say. I don't like what people do. I am tired of showing up not who I am, and I don't really know how it is that I can do this. I think one of the hardest things to do is to change a behavior that you've done for so long. Undoing something is completely hard. It's like, even if you had it on one situation, it's not guaranteed that it's going to happen on the second, because then you become remorseful even if you said no. Like, if that was the test, and someone came to you and said, can you? And you said, no, I can't. And you feel all sure with yourself. But what happens when it's a close friend who expects everything from you? What are you going to say then? The first course of action, of course, is analyze why it is that you are acting the way you are. Reflecting on moments just as early back as you can think of where you had to people please. Recognize that you have a pattern that keeps going and going in any situation. It's not just one person. It's an array of people in different segues in your life. And explore the underlying reasons. What is it? Fear or rejection, low self-esteem? Or is this massive desire for approval? I think one of the most resourceful things is to write it down. Write down your feelings. Be honest about what it is that you feel. Read it out loud. Say it out loud. Something about, saying our words out loud. It's like it sticks to us. It's like a realization, a light bulb moment where we realize, wow, I really do these things. I'm really reading my words. And the second thing, of course, I've said it before, set boundaries. Now, you got it in situations where it's a coworker and they ask you to cover their shift. You had already practiced that, so you was ready for it anyway because you didn't want to work their time. You was off that day. That's a no. That's an easy no. But when my wife, my girlfriend, my husband, or my boyfriend needs something, and I'm just tired, I'm filled to the rim. I don't have the capacity. I need you to assert that no and be real about that no. And then sometimes with people also, the ones that are close to us, after we give them a no, sometimes we have to be honest. That is when follow-up conversations happen. The reason why I chose to say no is because this, and then it leads into, I've done myself a disservice for allowing this, that, and the third, and being honest, having a conversation. Sometimes people won't like it, and others, they kind of understand. They're willing to work with you on what they took part in, and also they realize that you just didn't have it in you to say no. I want you to give yourself grace and self-compassion. I want you to realize that that you're worth it, and your worth is not dependent on others' approval. You don't have to do anything outside of yourself in order to be approved, liked, accepted. I want you to speak those affirmations. Tell yourself exactly who you are. Believe in yourself, even if you have to separate from said people for a while. If you're in a relationship, mentally work on those things while you're together, but have those discussions. Remind yourself of who you are. Speak it out loud. Write it on a piece of paper. I don't care. Make sure that you are implementing some good words into you. Baby, I need you to manage your guilt. I need you to understand that saying no to someone doesn't make you a horrible person. It doesn't mean that you are mean. It doesn't mean that you're unjust. It's just you're setting a boundary. We ain't finna feel guilty about that. Remind yourself that it's okay to take care of you, that you deserve and need a break as well. In the moment where you feel anxious, when you got to tell somebody no, baby, breathe through it and just release it. Don't overthink it. Don't come up with another scenario or alternative. The word is no, not maybe no. It's no, completely no. And if it helps to say it in a softer tone and you just need to get it on out, baby, get it on out, but do it with the surety. No, I can't. I really can't. And be firm on that no. Huge one, huge one, huge one. Listen. This is especially in friendships. Limit your exposure to these people. Don't run away from them. Don't hide. don't be available. But what I'm saying is, in an example that I used earlier, baby, you ain't got the money to go eat out on a Friday at 7:30. Therefore, you can't be with your homeboys and your homegirls, your girlfriends or your good guys all day. You already know what the schedule looks like. Nah, I can't hang today because you know that the expectation is after y'all hang out, y'all gotta go to eat. Or that negative people, ones with bad attitudes or just don't serve you well, limit your exposure to them. Don't make yourself available for you to be the go-to person every single time. Don't allow people to take advantage of your people-pleasing tendencies. Draw back. And when they start asking you why you're distant or why you're acting funny, be real with them. Tell them exactly how you feel. Word it in a way, in honesty, to say, I realize some things about me. I'll allow people to take up space, my energy, my time without saying no. And I've done it to you several different times. And I just needed time to myself. And I had to deal with that. So now that I know that, I'm asserting some boundaries, and it's just some things that I'm no longer doing. That's the conversation. And then, the last thing, celebrate progress, man. When you said that no, and that affirmative no, and then you walked into that other situation and you said no, yeah, you did that. And when you get to the point where you love yourself so much, like you're not dishonoring yourself because of that self-esteem, you not trying to get with different people because you think that's what they want you to do, or you're not trying to be in a group of people that you admire, man, you're going to sit to the table with people who accept you for you. You're not going to take care of people's emotions, and you're not going to be the first person as the hero to rescue them. You're going to take care of you. You are going to say no to others, and you are going to say yes to you. Stop being a people pleaser. You're not pleasing you. You are pleasing others. And by the time you get done with all of this, you'll be absolutely tired. I think about people that I know who are extreme people pleasers in every sense of the word. Sweethearts, they do. They have loving spirits, but they are so used. And I think about the many men and women who spend time in friendships and relationships toiling over because they don't have the assertiveness to say no and put their foot down. Y'all, it's bigger than just not saying no. It takes a mental and emotional toll. And if you can't say the no to one person, many times over, you can't say no to multiple people. And this becomes how you behave. This is your lifestyle. This is what you do. You don't even have a life because you've given so much to everyone else because they depend on you. We got to start saving ourselves, man. We really have to start looking within ourselves and save us. People are good. They are good when they are good, but they are bad when they are horrible. And what's more horrible is you deciding not to make the decision to take care of you. Okay? All right. We done. People pleasing. I ain't want to beat up on you too much if that's you. It's all love. We're here to grow, heal. We're here to get better. We're here to learn. We're here to share. Man, we're here to be serious about life. The more we drag these things out, the far we'll be from our closest, best, healed, intuitive, wise selves. We cannot be playing with life and ignorantly and naively walking through this life and allowing people to make decisions for us. We can't afford to have mental breakdowns. We can't afford to let ourselves go. We can afford to have a breakthrough every now and then. We can afford to have time to learn. We can afford to have space for ourselves. We can afford to do the things that we want to do. Okay, self-love coaching. I introduced that last week. If you want to know more about it, lisamarie.info. Self-love coaching sessions open for men and women alike. I will leave the link on the podcast information thingamabobber. It's been going great thus far. I will say that. I've learned so much about so many women that I know and don't know, because I've had, women thus far. But I think the beauty in it as well is that in each function of what it is that we go through, many of us have been there, done that. And many of us have conquered it. Many of us are facing it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It is some of our deepest rooted issues and why we don't love ourselves or why we don't value ourselves. And that's okay. I think we all get to a point where we feel like we're having this midlife crisis, even if you are not old enough to have one. But you do get to a point where it's like, this is crazy to me. I want to love myself and I want to show up different, and I want to feel full. I want to be sure. I don't want to go back and forth. And so if you are in that space and you need some self-love coaching, hit me up. Let's talk. Let's have a free consultation, 30 minutes. Air it out. Talk to me. The beautiful thing about it is I don't know none of y'all. You know what I'm saying? None of y'all. I ain't telling none of y'all business. But I do want to see you be your best self. Because I'll tell you, vast difference from, I'd even say 4 or 5 years ago to now. I swear if you do the work, you do it with intention, you're going to see the best part of yourselves. All right?